undefeated, but the Noles had a propensity to fall behind early in games during the regular season. That is not something they could afford to do against Oregon and the Ducks' prolific offense coming up in the Rose Bowl. Hey, everybody, welcome to Los Angeles. Bonnie Bernstein alongside Pete Fiutak for Campus Insiders continuing coverage of the college football playoff. Charles Kelly, the Noles defensive coordinator, was on the podium today during the media session, and he was asked point blank how the Noles are going to try to counter Marcus Mariota and company. He pointed to one of the critical components of the scout team.
Our scout team has done an unbelievable job. I think John Franklin has probably given us as good a picture as we could ask for. But I think the speed of it, the quickness in which it comes at you, being able to get lined up, being able to make the adjustments depending on what formation or, maybe it's, what defense we have called the adjustments, we have to do that. Those two things present the biggest challenge. And then you put I feel like they're probably as balanced in their 11 players on offense as anybody we play.
Little bit of knowledge on John Franklin. He also happened to be the scout team quarterback as FSU prepared for Auburn in the BCS championship, and they fell behind early in that game too. But ultimately, we know that John Franklin isn't Marcus Mariota. So does any of that matter?
No, none of it matters. You can't prepare for Marcus Mariota. And, last year they talked about Auburn but last year they had a problem in the fourth quarter. It was more of a problem on offense early on against Auburn, not the defensive side. You can't prepare for Mariota. He's John Franklin's not a number one overall draft pick caliber guy. He's not a Heisman caliber guy. And I think they're looking at this wrong. It's not about Mariota running. It's about the most efficient passer in the nation. You got to worry about him as a bomber. They'd love it for him to take off because they've got the speed to tee off on him. What they don't want is for him to start throwing for 400 yards and picking apart the secondary, which he might do anyway.
That's a great point. While Auburn may have had that same sort of tempo, Nick Marshall is much more of a running quarterback than a passing quarterback. I really think, Pete, that health is going to come into play for FSU's defense. Terrence Smith, the linebacker, was saying this is the healthiest his knee has felt all year. He said he got his speed back. There's going to be a lot more veteran depth on the defensive line. Their two senior defensive tackles and Eddie Goldman and Niles Lawrence Stample are going to be back and healthy. How much is that going to come
It's the X factor. It's what we don't know. We don't know if the time off is going to hurt their conditioning when it comes up to the tempo of this Oregon offense, or if they're going to look like they're shot out of a cannon because they're fresher. You did have a lot of these guys say, playing Georgia Tech to end the season was like the last team they wanted to face because then they would have to deal with the speed and the pressure that offense put on them. And now their legs are back. They've had a month to prepare. They've had a month to rest up. I think you might see a different Florida State defense, but again, we don't know what we're going to see because that's the problem trying to figure out bowl games.
Well, one of the things that FSU does know is that they're going to need to put a spy on Marcus Mariota. That will probably be Terrence Smith or Matthew Thomas. Those are the two guys who've sort of been working on that phase of the game in the lead up to the Rose Bowl. Oregon was asked what it's like to have to constantly deal with the reputation of being a finesse team. We talk about that in one of our Duck segments only on Campus Insiders.